Now before we move on to the packet switch technologies, let's go back up to our chart here. Before we move on to these packet switch networks, or actually we can look at it down here, we're going to go back again to these leased lines and just fill in some reminders here about some of the capabilities that we had. Trunk lines and point-to-point protocol. So point-to-point protocol was typically run over these trunk lines. And the basic building block was the DS0. I don't even know what DS stands for. I should look it up sometime. Probably means digital subscriber 0 or something like that. The basic building block was 64 kilobits per second. Now a T1 line, if you remember when we talked about T1 lines, we said that these were these lines between switch stations at the telephone company. It could carry 21 voices, 21 phone calls or phone conversations at a time. So now when we began to use these just for computer data between companies, we would call them 24 DS0 channels. So we had 24 DS0 channels, which could now get 1.544 megabits per second. In Europe, we used 30 DS0 channels to get 2 megabits per second. The T3, which was the most common, also called DS3 sometimes, by the way, could run 672 DS0s to get 44.736 megabits per second. This is a number that you should probably know if you ever take a networking certification test of any kind. These other three are used by Sonnet and other fiber optic technologies, and they are just some numbers that you might want to have in the back of your mind, although you probably don't need to memorize them at this point. But OC3, optical carrier 3, again these are fiber optic, could carry 2016 DS0s, 155 megabits per second. OC12, 622 megabits per second, and then OC48 can carry 2.4 gigabits per second. So that's it now for the little bit extra information about these. So we've covered this leg, we've covered this leg, and now we're going to go on and cover this next leg, the packet switched technologies over here.